Hey all, Pay Marine here with another video. I guess kind of excuse the lighting and everything. It's dark right now where I'm at. Still on the road, still on the move. So again, this kind of mobile, I don't know, mobile operation I got going right now to make videos and keep painting with all my stuff I brought. It's going pretty well so far. But I wanted to make a video. I haven't done an attempt at Coherent Thought for a while. So that's what I'm going to do today or tonight. And what this is going to be about is basically, I guess, kind of like my thoughts on ways to help tackle the backlog. Um, so with this trip and having this opportunity to have some downtime, mostly in the evenings, to get some painting done, hopefully I'll be able to accomplish that because I kind of made an Excel spreadsheet to help me kind of get grips on things, but not only on what I have with me. I ended up expanding it to like my whole collection and what I've had. For the most part, there's still a lot of stuff on there that I kept off or I don't have on there. But I kind of wanted just to see, like, in my lifetimes of the hobby so far, like what have I done mostly. So I'm going to share that with you. And it's going to look kind of crazy and confusing, so just bear with me. I'm just going to talk through. So it's just going to be the spreadsheet that's going to be up on the screen, and then me talking along with it. But like I said, there's a lot to it, and I'll explain kind of like why things are different colors and all that kind of stuff. But I even went so far as to I listed the year that the model came out. So I have multiple different lists. The first list I have is all my unpainted stuff. I left most of terrain pieces off because I actually started getting rid of a lot of my terrain and never got around to it. So I left it off. I have these great aspirations of having a home hammer table. And I did for a while, but I just never ended up using it. Like work just was always too busy to be able to have time to invite people over, and then their schedule didn't work. So it was easier to, when I did have time to play, just try to go to a local game store and play. But even that was hard, and the honest, easiest way was to go to events like Nova or to go to a one-day tournament somewhere. Even if I had no um, like super competitive list, it was the best way for me to be able to actually play a bunch of games in a day and get my gaming in that way. Because like I said, unfortunately I have a lot of drought kind of periods in between, and then along with that, with COVID and everything else happening, it's not that easy. So yeah, so the first list I have is all my unpainted stuff. Then the next list is my painted stuff, so that way I can, once it's painted, I move it over, and I put in there's a column for the release year that the model was released, or the unit. Um, and I also have, the number of models in the unit, so if it says like Intercessors, like 10 or 5, or however many that particular unit is. Anyway, and then I shift it over to the completed, and then I put the year that it was completed, so, if it was completed same year, not how long, and just to get an idea of like at where I'm at. As far as like how long it takes me to paint some stuff, because pretty much everything I can think of that comes out, at least for the Space Marines, for the Primaris stuff, for my personal homebrew chapter, I get right when it comes out. I don't wait and pick it up later. I just go ahead and get what I want for the most part, I'll say. So it's kind of a good gauge as how long it takes me to paint some of that stuff. And while doing that, and I'll show in the spreadsheet, I found something very interesting where everybody always complains about, and even I do this too because I'm always falling behind on my painting, so I was like, please, I just need a break from all these releases. And something I noticed, though, was there's definitely some peak and valley years as to when exactly things are released. And I'll explain that through that too. Then I have a very small list, and it's kind of funny to call it small, but I do have a small list right now of like my want to buy list of stuff that I still want to get, which is, I think it's just 3 different types of heavy intercessors, and then a Stormbird, which those, I guess, 4 things are not anything to like whatever. I mean, the Stormbird is definitely a mega wish list item. And then going on from there, I think the next list I had on there then is commission pieces I've done. I haven't done a ton of commissions. Like I said, I do them very sparingly. and usually when I do them or have done them, it's usually a bigger project for the most part. And I say that as in like it's usually like one model, but it's a bigger model because I don't like to get I can't take on too much again just for my job. But I have noticed at least this past 2020, I did a lot more commissions for people than I was working on my own army, so it kind of made my army suffer. And then after that, I think I have a list of past armies that I've owned or my current own and the numbers and all that. Just I kind of get an idea. And that one's more of a rough estimate for some of the stuff. It's pretty accurate though, to how many like models and stuff are there. And then I broke it down even further, and I went to, you know, how many I've painted the past few years, so I could see like, you know, I could see like where I slowed down at and all that kind of stuff. I just want to break that all down. But really the overall, I don't know, we'll say thought, I guess, the attempted thought here in this attempt at a coherent thought is to try and find something that works for you. Like what can help you potentially motivate you to paint. You know, I'm definitely a very visual person, and so like, you know, being able to see stuff come off and get painted is always good. And I've also heard other people like, you know, oh no, put that stuff away. Like don't leave out your pile of shame on the shelf or something. Put it away. Put it out of sight. So it doesn't demotivate you, because some people, it demotivates them to see this big pile of stuff that they still have to do. I, for one, like to see the progress. So, like, I take this unit out, paint it, and now the pile's smaller. But for the most part, I put it in my little battle foam trays, and I keep it away, and I have my painted stuff. I do have it separated, like my battle foam trays of painted stuff are in my army bag, and then my non-painted stuff are either on the top of the army bag, like inside, or like placed somewhere else. So it's not really in my face, and I think that's actually been kind of a detriment to me because I'm more of one that likes to see stuff completed. So being on the road, I'm not gonna like get all my unpainted stuff that I brought with me and just set it on the table or anything. And so creating a spreadsheet has actually been a huge motivational kind of push for me to be able to see like, oh, here's everything that I have that's unpainted. Here's the stuff that's with me, which surprisingly I only brought like 3 or 4 trays of my battle foam stuff. And I brought like they're in a nice hard case or everything. So like traveling, and I even wrapped them in like it's not saran wrap, but it's kind of like a saran wrap for like, I get kind of like packing material. I got it in the packing material section of the store, but it's like a saran wrap, but it's a bit stronger. Now it's flimsy, and I wrapped the battle foam, each tray in that, just so the models like, you know, don't fly out, because, you know, things can still happen. So I just wanted that extra added thing to kind of keep them in their battle tray while traveling, and it's worked pretty well and everything. But because of all that, like it would be highly inconvenient, because I'm still going to be moving around here and there. It wouldn't be conducive to me to unpack it and just have my big pile of shame, my traveling pile of shame on the table, and then have to like pack it all up and go. So having this spreadsheet, I think, has been a huge help already. I can see that my motivation is ticking up to like take those things that I have with me and start getting them painted and shifted over to the completed list. All right, so take a brief pause, and then I'll bring up the spreadsheet, and then you won't have to see me in this really weird, spooky lighting where I don't have any good, you know, spooky stories to tell. So, all right, let's go on to the next. Okay, so hopefully this is showing up correctly here. So yeah, as you can see here, this is a pretty huge list. So overall, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So for now, we're just going to focus on the section over here that's all in gray. So from here to here, so as you see, I have the unit name, I put the type, the colors coincide with what I paint the helmets as for those specific units. So if it's a troop, they get a purple helmet. If it's an elite, it's yellow. Fast attack, get your red, and then heavy, get black. And my HQs get white helmets with the faceplates being a different color, usually green for captains. Lieutenants, actually, I'm probably going to change it up a little bit because they're just, I don't know. When I first made my first lieutenants, I kind of did a different thing. I did a whole purple helmet with a green stripe going down the middle. I think I might keep that, but I might make the faceplate white, kind of like the sergeant. So another thing I didn't mention, all the sergeants for these, if they have a purple helmet, their faceplate is white, and yellow with a white faceplate, etc. And that symbolizes the sergeant rank, as well as I always make sure that they have the skull on the forehead, and for the sergeants they get like a silver gunmetal skull, and then the officers get a bronze colored one. So then I have the number of models. The current status is unbuilt, primed, whatever, layers, highlights, etc. If it's highlights, then it's pretty much going to be done. I usually don't have to update that. I'm pretty much just going to go from unbuilt, primed to layers, and then from layers it takes a little bit of time to do like the recess shading, the highlights, and then finally the decals. So usually it just goes unbuilt, primed, layers, and then from there, then it usually moves over to the completed. So location I just have with it if I have it at home or with me currently, and then symbol. So symbol is going to be, you know, what is on their other shoulder that's not the chapter symbol. And these are just very rough approximations. So here we have like the fast attack symbol, because assault intercessors, or not fast attack, I'm sorry, close support. So while they're a troop, it's a close support kind of unit because they get in close. Intercessors have this kind of more troop thing. So another thing with my homebrew chapter is I adopted a Dark Angel symbology. They're not a Dark Angel successor, but it's just kind of more of a homage to the fact that the Dark Angels were my first army, and to be a little bit different from the rest. So then this is the like veteran symbol that you see, which is kind of cool. I found that under Wingdings, of all things. These ones are kind of questioned. For the most part, I see the pilots usually have the troop, I guess, symbol on them. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing with those yet. I just put a $sign to kind of symbolize the medical caduce thing. I couldn't find another way, but that's what that is. The asterisks are supposed to be kind of like the explosion thing that you see the Devastators, and then certain things just will have nothing. So then I have the year released, and I color coded them because they go along with this kind of key that I made. So moving down, and then we have this. You're going to see, again, more colors, like, whoa. So HQ I just put in this color just to kind of separate it. But then I wanted to count up and get a number of like how many different officers and things I have, because I want to make, you know, I'm kind of making my homebrew. Well, I'm not kind of, I am making my homebrew chapter, but I want to kind of figure out a way to kind of even it out, so I can have different company captains, lieutenants, and such, and even it out across the companies. So some of these, it says company captain. Some of these will probably change and stuff like that. The lieutenants are in this lighter blue, so we have captains in this darker blue. Tech Marine is in this kind of red color. Then we have a chaplain in this gray, and then librarians are in this kind of purpley gray thing. Yeah, and as you can see, like, a lot of these are the specific chapter characters that came out, and I've converted them or de-chapterized them, if you want to say, from whatever they were, so that way I could use them in my army. Now, another thing you can see here is there is not a lot that is not built and primed. I have assault intercessors here that are unbuilt, and it says 10, because I only plan on having one squad of 10, and then I may make some additional sergeants to have different weapons loadouts, but otherwise I'm not going to really do anything else extra with them. Because I technically have 20 of these, because I have the ones from the Dominus box, and then I bought another box of the new multi-part kit. So that way I can kind of mix and match between the two and get a full 10-man squad, and then still have enough left over if I want to make some specialized sergeants and stuff like that with different weapons options, which is usually what I like to do. I'm not a big magnetizer. I found usually I will come up with like one kind of what do you call it, kit out or a kit or whatever, that I like to run, and I usually leave that as is. I know sometimes, especially with the assault intercessors, because they're usually like a chainsword and a bolt pistol, you could try to magnetize their arms, but it already takes me enough time to get other things done that I just don't have the time for magnets. I've definitely magnetized before in the past, and like I said, it just seemed more of an expensive waste because I usually never switched out the weapon options. So it was always just kind of like, oh, well, that was for nothing. And then I do have a few other things. I do have like the McFarlane Primaris Space Marine and a Hellblaster. They're still in the packaging. They're the artist proofs. I guess I could put that on here too, so that's not just like. But they are the artist proof, and I do plan on painting those in my chapter colors for those things. So then coming down, so all together, out of everything I brought, all together I had actually. So I put this off to the side because I wanted to remember. I do have 95 actual physical models here with me. So there's 157 that I have to paint, which is a lot, especially when I go to how much I've completed each year. So I have 95 altogether with me. I just finished a group of aggressors, so that's dropped it down to 89 here left to paint. Now hopefully I can just continually keep knocking these out, and I think I think this would be my record-breaking year for models painted. There really shouldn't be any reason why that shouldn't be achievable. I definitely hope so, because that would really help take a big chunk out of this number over here of unpainted. And if GW would please give the Primaris a break. Now, one thing I wanted to point out here, and I'll show you here in a second, is the release year stuff. And it's kind of surprising in a lot of ways, and part of it too is this is my own fault. If I didn't want to have every unit and create, like an actual like homebrew chapter of every option that I can almost come up with, to the extent or aside from the fact of really vehicles, I'm not going to get every variation of vehicle and get 3 of every kind or something like that. That's not happening. But for the most part, with other units and stuff, it kind of is. But real quick here, broke down each year that they were released in this group here, how many units I still have to paint from each of those, and what that equates to in models. So in 2017, I still have 8 units from 2017 that need to be painted, and that equates to a total of 45 models, which is interesting because if you look at 2019, there's 18 units and 45 models. But 2019, we saw a ton of single character models released for Space Marines that year, so that's why that is on par there, and yet there's 10 more units, when really, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. 2018, there's 5 units and only 5 models. Again, those are mostly, and I'll show you here, 2018 was actually a very sparse year for Space Marine releases. We did get a decent amount, but they came in the form of box sets. I think that was the year we got Wake the Dead and Prophecy of the Wolf. So while we saw Space Marine releases with another army, there was no real new models that came out other than like a specific Wake the Dead Lieutenant, which then was released on its own later, but a specific Wake the Dead Lieutenant, and then I think it was Wolf, Ice Pelt, I think it was. I don't know if he was a sergeant or a lieutenant, but he was like, I think his name was Ice Pelt. They came in a Space Wolf, Prophecy of the Wolf. So again, yeah, so then 2020 was a big year. We had Indominus, a bunch of stuff came out. And then as of 2021, there's 4, and in that too, again, this is counting these, the McFarlane Hellblaster set kind of in there as well. And then, like, again, we just had Captain Venturous come out for the Black Library celebration. What else do we have on here? Go up. Oh yes, the Heavy Intercessors from Pariah Nexus. So they have, I mean, we haven't seen the actual multi-part kit. It hasn't been released yet that I'm aware of as of April 8th. I don't think it's come out yet. I think they said May is when it's coming out, so we got about another month yet before we'll see Heavy Intercessors releasing the multi-part kit. But as far as Pariah Nexus, they are out. And as I'm making this right now, I'm actually working on these right now. I put a poll up, and posted a few groups. And I said until Friday, so tomorrow. But it's pretty clear that everybody that participated in that wants me to jump into the heavy intercessors. So I've started working on those. So hopefully those will be done somewhat soon. We are going to be packing up and kind of moving around again here in a little bit. So I'm just trying to get some layers and stuff on that I can right now, but there may be a little delay that a little bit longer than I would like for only a 5 model unit, but still, it'd be nice to get those done and have another one knocked out. Plus, it's a really cool model. So yeah, but everything I usually, when I get something, I'm pretty good about immediately like building it and getting it primed and ready. Because priming is one of those things I like to do kind of in batches and stuff too. Just makes it easier for me and stuff like that. Go out into my garage, prime everything up. Plus, when I've run into this situation now, when I want to go on the road and I don't want to bring my airbrush, because that's usually what I use to do all my priming. I don't want to pack up an airbrush and all that other kind of stuff and bring that with me too. So, yeah, that definitely helps out. So, all right, well that is that. I wanted to kind of point out again, like I said, like on these release years, it's kind of, I didn't do that. I should have probably done that. I'll have to do that sometime maybe. I may have to make another one of these kind of keys here and put like release year, and I don't think I'm going to do the number of models, but just how many different units were released for that year. Yeah, I might do that, and then I'll come back at the end of the video and we'll go over that, because like I said, you can kind of see already just from the colors here, but it's kind of hard because a lot of this stuff, like a lot of my 2017 stuff is moved over here into the painted, and I can kind of shift it over a little bit so you can kind of see, like look at all that, 2017, 2017, 2017. I mean, that was the new edition, so there's a lot of stuff. So 2017 obviously was a huge year. A lot of stuff came out. 2018 was a lot slower. We just saw some more box sets come out. Yeah, there was a character from the Conquest magazine. Here we have one from Wake the Dead. What do we got here? The one from Tooth and Claw. Oh, I guess it was was it Prophecy of the Wolf? No, it must have been the Tooth and Claw set. I don't remember what Prophecy of the Wolf was then. Prophecy of the Wolf was the one that came out with Ragnar Blackmane, right? Yeah, that was 2020. Okay. Well, yeah. Just backtrack a little bit on that one. Yeah, so Tooth and Claw was the one I was talking about. That's the one I meant. Yeah, so then Calgar, we got Calgar that year, which I converted into a Smash Captain and got some layers on him, but I don't have him with me. He's still got a lot to do on him. 500 Storm Marine. So there wasn't really a lot in 2018, and even in my completed pile completed pile over here, again, there's the Astrea, so the Forge World model. Recon. So this one's a little bit different because this was a converted thing. Another conversion. So, oops. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of the Lieutenant. Okay, the Dark Angels Lieutenant came out then. That's one thing I don't have on here actually, and it is one I wanted to get, was the Blood Angels Lieutenant to convert him into something. I never picked that one up. Just realizing that now. Yeah, so let's take a look here. So this is my completed list. So again, kind of the same thing here. So I got number, everything here, status. I could probably just delete this. Everything's painted. Then we can have the symbols, the year that it was painted, and this is the year it was released. And then we have the difference here. So it was painted same year, so it could have been like the same month even as it was released, or it could have been, it could have took me that whole year maybe. But it was same year, so counted as a 0. Anything, then it's pretty self-explanatory. So if it's a 1, it took that 1 year. This one here is the Aggressors with Flamers that I just finished. So that took 4 years for them to come off the shelf. Anything that was a conversion, I just put a C, and it kind of gets a pass because yes, the Primaris Ancient came out in the Dark Imperium set, but I had like I got 2 box sets of those, and I just had another one that was just kind of laying around as for conversion potentially, and I ended up doing that. I converting it, converting it, and so I think I put, it says like 2019 year release, which is not technically true. I started converting it in 2019, and then it just kind of sat again, and then I finally finished it just this past year, at the beginning of the year. So yeah, so you can see for the most part though, there's a lot of zeros on here, which is kind of cool if you think like, oh well, I pretty much paint a lot of it right when it comes out, and then down here is a lot more converted stuff. So this one here is a Battlescape Terrain. Like this one I kind of just put a little asterisk next to because it came out in 2012. I didn't get it in 2012. I wasn't even a hobby fully yet. So yeah, I bought my models, and my first models ever in 2011, but I had only just bought some models and tried painting them, and then that was kind of it for then. I didn't get more into it really until about 2013, when I actually started trying to play. But anyway, yeah, so this looks all good and stuff, but we're going to see a lot more of this here once I start getting my backlog painted. Not a whole lot, because for the most part, well, I say not a whole lot, but then there's quite a few actually. 2017, there's 8 of them, I said, right? So there'll be 8 more that will have 4 plus, well, 4 if I get them done this year, if I have them all in hand. So yeah, so it's not too bad. And then I kind of did that breakdown over here. So of the painted models I have for my personal army, there's 122 painted models. So far painted this year's down here, but I also put it over here. I have 7 units, totaling 19 models painted this year. That breakdown of my officer kind of headquarters thing that I was talking about before. Captains, there's 16 captains, so that's definitely going to have to shift. There's 9 lieutenants, 3 librarians, 3 chaplains, 3 tech marines, 3 apothecaries. So I'm alright with these numbers, these 3s. That's cool. And including with that, there's a chief librarian, there's a, I guess I don't have a chief chaplain right now, but I do have a chief librarian and a master of the forge for the tech marines. So I don't have a master apothecary or anything like that, but may look into that. But yeah, these captains are definitely going to have to shift around. Having 16 captains kicking around, it's kind of funny. It's like I have more captains than they release lieutenants, it seems. So, but yeah, so then over here, the breakdown, you have, in 2017, I completed 17 units, which equaled 41 models. 2018, I did 5 units for 23. 2019 was 6 to 26. 2020 was 7 for 12 and 7 for 19 so far this year. So you can kind of see too, like I came out strong in 2017, was getting everything painted pretty quickly, good turnaround. But life and things happened and that kind of shifted, but I went down to 5, and that was about half of this, which is, it's not quite half of 17, of course, but little over half here. Then I got a little bit better in 2019. I got 6 done, which was still about 26. Now here, 2020, 7 units. So that's like, you're like, oh wow, 7 units, that's 6 and 5. So it should be around the 20-something again, but it's only 12. So it must be, I think I had a lot of single units then, but then, like I was mentioning, 2020 saw me doing a lot more commission work that year, and it was not like anything that was done quickly. It was larger models, like the Bio Titan, the Hierophant, I think it's called. I think this was called, I'm pretty sure. It's the Tyranid Bio Titan, like some Imperial Knights, just stuff like that. So it was like very time-consuming stuff, where it already, I have to find the time to do it with a family of, now 4 kids, and at the time was 3, and just having that family time and getting that balance between work, family, hobby, and then on top of it, I do commissions, and like again, I do commissions very, very sparingly because of the fact that there's so much going on. It does take me a bit longer at times to get that stuff done, and therefore sometimes I just can't take it in the volume with a full-time job and family life and stuff. So and that was definitely where we see, I would say my numbers definitely suffered in 2020 because of that. You would think in the year where everybody can't go out and do anything, my numbers should have been a lot higher this year, which is true. But at the same time, like I said, I was doing a lot of commissions. And then on top of it, there's a ton of releases this year because we had 9th edition come out and the Indominus box set. And so they released a bunch of new models. So a lot of time, too, was also built or went into building and painting those things. So, but already we're looking good for 2021, already surpassing previous years except for 2017. But yeah, I'm already tied with 2020, which, is cool. But like I said, like even though that's a 7 and it beats the previous years, there's still way less models. But I'm already past that. I'm tied there, but past that. Over that and getting close to the models there. Once I get done with these next 5, I'll be past it. I'll be at 24. So that'll be pretty awesome. So I'll already be beating there, and I'll be beating here, and then I'll just need a couple more, and I'm beating that. So this is already on track to be a good year as far as beating all these previous years, and just closing in on my best year that I've had in a while of 2017. And I say that in a while, but there's also other things that went into this stuff too, because, when was it? I don't remember. I think it was 27. Yeah, it was 2017. Along with doing all of this, I also had a Coherent army that I was painting and building and everything too. So there's a lot too, because there was more going on than just my one army, which now I've consolidated everything down. I'm down to quite literally, except for some kill team stuff, I only have my Star Commander's army. And then the breakdown of everything that was painted same year. So this is, across all these different years, whether it was 2020 or whatever. In general, I seem to trend toward painting the model the same year that I got it. Now again, these numbers will change more as I get some stuff completed. So we will see how that turns out as things get done more and more here. If it will be much different, I don't foresee. So we'll see here in the next, I guess, few months, weeks, days, whatever, as I get stuff completed, how this may change. I don't foresee any of it surpassing this. I think this number is just going to get better, and I don't think I have enough from past years that is going to affect these other numbers to where they're going to. I mean, I can already actually look here. Well, I mean, the other thing that kind of sucks, though, is a lot of the stuff that came out, and Dominance didn't get released until August, so that was like the back end of the year, and then they just kept releasing stuff. So actually, as long as I get some more stuff painted within the same year, this 1 year thing is actually going to be pretty close to the same year, because just already looking right here, this 2020, because it was at the last half of the year, and I just go strictly by year it was released, by year it came out. So like something could have been released December of 2020 and I get it painted January 2021, I just count that as a 1. It was in a different year, different calendar year. I don't actually put the date. It was released just the year it was released. So it can skew a little bit that way. So yeah, so already looking here with 21, if I was to get all 21 of these models, which I don't have all of them from 2020 with me, that will plus up some of these a bit more. So it'll be interesting though to see how this comes out. I still think the same year will be in the lead, hopefully, because I mean it's kind of nice to think that I get most of it painted pretty quickly as it comes out, so it doesn't sit too long. But at the same time, like I said, it's Yeah, it'll be interesting. Right now I have a 0 for anything that took me 3 years, which is nice, but that's also just because it's probably still sitting over here and just hasn't gotten to yet. And then the 1 for the 4 years is the Aggressors that I just finished, which I've got, like I said, I got everything right when they come out, so. But yeah, so that's where I'm sitting there. So, like, again, this seems like a lot, and I mean, it is kind of a confusing mess of things maybe to somebody. But for me, this actually helps. Maybe, some people, this is way too busy. I've thought about, like, I don't really need to keep these colors here anymore for the characters. I've got the numbers down here, and if I buy any more for some reason, I can update these numbers accordingly. For now, I kind of left it here, and at least I may keep just the captains highlighted in their color, because I do want to rearrange and kind of retool who's doing what. Check out the next thing. So here's my wish list. Oh, I guess I did have the Primaris Lieutenant on here as a want to have. I definitely had that new Imperium magazine Primaris Captain. I think he's a captain. I don't know. He looks cool. It'd be pretty cool to get one of those. I would love to get 2 of them, really. One to build as is, and then one to convert. Usually my kind of thing I like to do. Kind of like to do if I can, but for the most part, I just like to convert. Like I said, I got a Stormbird on there. Like that, it'll be a while before that happens because in my unpainted pile, I have a Thunderhawk still that's primed, built and primed, but I still have. It's such a daunting thing. The Asturias was already a daunting enough one, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out the pre-shading thing with the airbrush, and I've watched a ton of stuff, and I don't know what to practice on really to try to figure out a good way to do that, because I see people that can do some really good pre-shading work, and it looks amazing on these bigger models, so I don't have to go super crazy with the recess shading and stuff, and I can kind of do something like that. But it's so nerve-wracking because I don't want to do it and mess it up, and then at what point am I at the point of no return kind of a thing. So I've really been putting it off because of that. Is really the only reason why I've been putting it off. But and then the different heavy intercessors. I like to have 3 10-man squads of each of the different variations. Right now I only have a 5-man squad. I only got 1 Pry Nexus box, which I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit for, but at the same time not, because I do like the heavy intercessors, and I do want to get more in a kill team, but I don't know. I feel like by the time I get to play again, those books aren't even going to matter again already. And then before the trip and now, I was trying to sell the Necron and the Terrain stuff out of the box, just maybe keep the rules and the heavy intercessors, but nobody was taking me up on it. I thought I had a pretty good deal, but I think enough people already split boxes or got what they wanted out of it, so I'm kind of stuck right now with some Necron models and stuff. But now that I'm on the road, I can't really mail it out to anybody, so that is what it is. And I really don't want to put that on my wife to take care of right now while I'm away. I got a big pile of junk that I don't want her to get lost in it. So, and then over here, this is just commissions. I blacked out the pricing because I just want to share the pricing stuff. Like some of this stuff was actually donated to different events and things. Other stuff, was actual, commission projects. And I just don't want to share the pricing. That's a very, I don't want to say controversial, but it's a very, very objective thing. Because obviously as a commission painter, you kind of have to set your own price. And for me, it's very difficult. I think it's the same for pretty much anybody. It's really hard to put value to your work in a lot of ways. Like, I think my work is very good, but then I go on the internet sometimes, I see other commission painters, I'm like, whoa, theirs is really good. And I'm like, there's no way I can charge what they might charge, but at the same time, it's really hard you can't really get a quote from somebody unless you're actually going to have them do work for you. So I find I'm pretty sure I underquote myself pretty severely, because generally when I give somebody a quote on something, they usually jump right on it because they're like, well, that is an insanely good price. So the time, because you gotta kind of like, if I take, the time it take me to build sometimes, because some people have me just build or to paint or both or whatever, and the amount I charged, just divide that by the number of hours I put into it. It's like way less than minimum wage in a lot of places. And, well, not a lot of every place. I can tell you that much. I definitely don't do myself justice on it. But I do take on projects more, not just for making money, because I don't, like, like, at best, I'm able to buy myself a Pepsi, a candy bar, and maybe the pot of paint, the supplies or whatever, at the end of the day. Um, I mean, it kind of goes back. I mean, it just goes right back into the hobby anyway. But um, yeah, I definitely, if I maybe didn't have a full-time job and I could take on more projects and I could price a little bit differently, with volume and stuff like that, then yeah, sure. Um, but I'm not, and I feel like that would just give me burnout anyway, which I don't want. But the other thing too, though, is I do take on commission projects more for the experience and the ability to paint things I would never paint. Um, like case in point, this Brass Scorpion, the Hero Font Biotitan. I would never, Greater Demon Slayer, I don't play any of these armies. I would never get a Hero Font Biotitan as cool as it is. And that was an amazing, that was probably one of my favorite projects, was painting that, and getting the opportunity to paint it. And it came out great. Like, I'm so proud of the way that thing turned out. I mean, even this little thing here, like the Sakarian Punisher tank. I did an Assault Claw, Alpha Legion Assault Claw. Both of these were actually done in Alpha Legion colors, and I got to use this color shift paint that I'd wanted to use for a while. It turns like a green to a purple color. It's like a metallic. It's the chameleon paints. Oh man, that thing looks so awesome. I was so jealous. I wanted to keep it myself. Like, Alpha Legion's like my favorite of the loyalist. Legions. It's definitely my favorite. I guess you could say traitor, chaos, whatever. Um, I love them, and so being able to do Alpha Legion, which has been a project I wanted to do for myself for so long. And just again, I need to focus on my homebrew because that's my main focus. Because I play that more than anything. Again, like it's just being able to work on that was more. And so to some extent, like yes, I'm definitely underquoting. So one, that makes me more competitive, I guess, on the market, because I do, like I said, I guess I undercut a lot of the competition and still deliver a very, very high quality product, I would think, for what people are getting paid. And I still, like I said, I try to be as humble as possible. I think is the other problem, is I'm a very, this is a weird thing to say out loud again, because a humble person doesn't need to go and tell people they're humble. They just are by the nature of how they are. So it feels weird already before I even completed that sentence. Like, what am I doing? Like, am I bragging about being humble? That doesn't make any sense. But to some degree, I do think I have a bit of humility, as odd as that is to brag about. And so I think I kind of downplay my painting ability in my own mind. It's kind of like body dysmorphia or something like that. Like, somebody that like works out all the time because they need to get the best body, or somebody that has an eating disorder because they want to be skinnier and stuff like that. They have like this body dysmorphia. Like, what people see on the outside looks perfectly fine, but how they see themselves on the outside, doesn't add up. And it's kind of the same thing like for me. Like I people could tell me all day, like, oh man, it's amazing work, great paint and stuff like that. But as myself, as the creator, the artist, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know, I could have done this different, I could have done that. You kind of, you're your worst own critic, or whatever you want to say. Yeah. I don't know how else to say that. I've had someone else explain that the scariest part about writing a novel is when they finally have to submit it to the publisher, and to the point where once they do that step and it goes out, they never read their book again. Which is kind of like, I'm like, the first time I heard that, I was like, what? But it makes sense, because because if they were to read it again once it's been published, they would see way too many mistakes and would just drive them crazy. Because they'll always see the flaw in their work, and where I could have done this different, I could have changed this, but now it's too late. So I definitely can see where that comes from. And so, in a sense too, like I said, I do it more just for like the experience of painting stuff that I wouldn't have the ability to paint, and so I guess that's part of the payment. So yes, I may be undercutting myself on the market wise, which in a lot of ways I guess could be bad in the grand scheme. I'm not a huge painter anyway, so I don't feel like I'm having like this huge impact anyway on the commission painting scene. But if I was a bigger commission painter person, um, I can see where it could widelier, man, I'm making up all kinds of words today, but where it could impact that scene a lot more because of that fact of you're undercutting everybody else, so now they got to lower their prices to get business. The whole competitive kind of aspect of pricing things, just like any business. So like I said, I don't think I'm having that big enough of an impact, but I could see where somebody else is like starts losing business and like what the heck, oh now there's this new one-off local painter. He just does projects every now and again, but because he's producing a quality product at a low price. Now I have to lower my prices because Joe Blow came in and now it's undercutting me and everything. So again, I don't paint near the volume of there's these studios out there or even some individuals out there. But again, like what I have painted, like I said, this isn't a huge list. There's nothing crazy here. It's all together. It's only 106 models together, but some of them are some pretty larger models. Like the Brass Scorpion's not a small model, and plus it's not the biggest model either, but like again, like I said, like I paint these to a quality over my own army, which if I already paint my own army, I definitely take my time, and the color scheme of the Star Commanders is such a time-intensive color scheme that I picked, and then the edge highlighting that I'm doing with everything, it already takes me a long time to paint them, but if I was to up it even more, whoa, like recently, like I would say that I tried to paint not my top tier because that would take me like a whole month, but my most recent Dark Angel that I did of my like recreation of my first ever model, and I did a recreation of them as a Primaris Marine and a repaint. I really took my time on that one single model, and it took me a long time to complete that. And not an extreme amount of time. Altogether it took me about a week. And not just like a week of painting here and there, like a week of some substantial painting. Of just trying to take my time and really get in some good detail. And like I said, pictures are one thing. In person, it looks like way better even still. So if I was to do that with my whole army, I would be this number right here, this total. Well, that's my total number of models, but the one that whatever I had, 100 and something, would not be that. It'd be like 50. So, but anyway, let's move on from that and move into the last part, which is just kind of all together the different armies I've had over the years and, what that means. So we got number of models, the current status, I guess, as to where it is in my life or whatever. Yeah. So, and I try to separate these just by color. Like, so these are like where the start of the skirmish games start. So like these are all kill teams, which is kind of accurate because like I had a Necron team, but I never played it, and I ended up just selling it. So that's not on here. I actually had that on pretty much completely painted too. And I actually realized I had a whole Tyranid army, but I never got around to playing that. I actually painted some of those too. I should probably put my Tyranid army on here actually now that I think about it. Oh, that's really going to up this number here because that was a huge army because I had like a bunch of Gaunts and a bunch of small dudes. But anyway, so kill team, we had some Shadow War teams and Sylvaneth Warcry band that ended up selling, as you can see. So obviously over here status, so this is my main army, main focus. I have a Scion's kill team done in an ODST theme, or yeah. And then this here is also kind of going into an Elysian drop troop army that I've been working on, just very, very sparingly. Like it's a definite passion project of mine. It's again, it's the ODST theme, so the models pulled from this into this. So that's where you see here. This total excludes those in skirmish game for the most part, but not always, because like. this Sylvaneth warband here I had at a different time from my Heartwood Wargrove. I've sold those off before I built this warband. This was more of a recent thing, and this I got right when Sylvaneth had come out. So then, yeah, like I say, a lot, like mostly is sold. This is my current main force for Kill Team. I've been started working on this. This has got the one model so far, and I'm trying to figure out a way to bring in my other models that I had with my Dark Angels Veterans, which is the first squad I ever did, and try to bring them across the Primaris. The only model I have from my very first ever anything is the one that I converted over into Primaris. The rest of that first squad, they sold with the rest of the Dark Angels army that I had. But I didn't want to keep that one just for sentimental reasons. And then I got to do this cool little, 10 years later repaint, which I thought was cool. This one here is also kind of a passion project, side project I did, because they had those really cool catechin characters that came out, the female sergeant and then the colonel. And so I made a kill team that's kind of like a Predator-esque kind of feel to them. A lot of the characters kind of already have that look to them, and so it's kind of a Predator / Aliens, because the sergeant looked like, what's her name? I want to say it's Rojas. I think it was, or Rose. I think it was Rojas. From the Aliens movie, and then the Colonel looks like the dude from Predator. I can't think of his name now. I was actually just watching a thing on the Predator movies the other day. Golly, what is that actor's name and the character's name? I can't think of it. Dylan is his name. That's the character's name. I can't remember the actor's name now. He was in Happy Gilmore and all that. But anyway, yeah, and then Salamanders. So this was a kill team. I put it in here, I guess, because it technically is kill team. But my Salamanders kill team, this was before like kill team was a separate thing, and they just had released kind of rules for it. And I really enjoyed playing it. It was kind of fun, but nobody really ever played it. You had to like print the rules off online. It was official like kill team rules they have. You just printed the rules off from online. Played it a few times. People, I could get a few people to play with me every now and again, but usually a lot of it was like meet up, they would read through the rules and kind of try to play through it together. And then I think it was a year or two after that, they released like an actual kill team box with a booklet in it. It's not in any way the way it is now, but it was basically just how to play like 5-man squad, the Space Marines, each. So you would like purchase like a min squad of 5, but then they would each act individually and stuff like that. So that worked pretty well for a while, but then they came out with Shadow War Team, which was kind of like, I guess, Necromunda of old, kind of brought over into like a Kill Team Necromunda kind of amalgamation, which I really liked. I actually liked Shadow War a lot better than the current iteration of Kill Team, but that was just me. That only stuck around for that first year, which again I think was just another test to kind of work out some kinks and see. And then they released Kill Team, which now we know as kind of a mainstay small skirmish game of Warhammer. So as you see, I've had a decent amount of Kill Teams. I still have this actual Salamanders team. It's in storage. I had a Deathwatch Kill Team. I've sold them. A Scion. So I did have another Tempestus Scions Kill Team. That was just a regular Scions, but they were from the 9th Iotan Gargones, because I used to have that as an army. I had bought 2 of those box sets when the Scions first came out as their own standalone thing. They had updated Stormtroopers, and now they're the Tempestus Scions. I just loved the way they looked, and I also liked the idea of drop troops and stuff. But I didn't want to drop Forge World prices on Elysian drop troops at the time, which I kind of looking back now, I wish I kind of did, because now Elysians are no longer a thing you can buy. So my Elysian drop troops are actually Necromunda Van Star bodies with a Puppets War third-party bits maker head, and then I've been scouring any and everywhere, and I've had to maybe even get a couple recasts of the grav shoots from the original Elysians. So I put all those together and I make a pretty cool looking kill team, I would say. Or at least I think so. Yeah, and then Adeptus Sororitas kill team that I had. Again, part of the Order of the Glowing Chalice. So yeah, so that is everything there. So that's right there. Now, I guess I'm probably going to add my Tyranids on here. Because, yeah, I want to see where that stands. But the next thing I want to do, and there'll be probably a quick pause while I do this, and then we'll come back, is take a look at the year and how many different units were released that year. So I'm going to shift this all over. And we'll shift it on over here. So make a little bit of room. And then over here I'm going to put, I don't know what I'm going to put yet, but I'm going to count up each year and we'll see how many Space Marine releases we got for each year. So some of these, it's not going to be 100% accurate because I mean, I don't know if you would want to count something like Tooth and Claw and stuff like that. So it will be technically counted for on here because, like I said, like I will have like the Ice Pelt character. I do have him, so he will count. So I mean, I guess it counts as a new release, even though everything else in the box was previously released. So, all right, let me do a quick counting game here, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I had to make a quick correction while I was going through this. I accidentally marked the Eradicators as a same year. I put that they came out in 2021 on my completed list. On here, on my to-do list, I have some heavy Eradicators, heavy multi-rifles to do, and I had it correct there, but for some reason, the other multi-rifles that I did, I had put that they came out in 2021 or something, and so it was done the same year. So I changed that down to 24 to 23. This is went from 4 to 5. So yeah, so then that means this also needs to get changed down as well to 13 and 6. Yeah, and then this is going to be 8 and 18. Okay. So, yeah, so things changed a little bit there, but corrected now, thankfully. I'm actually hit save so I don't lose all that. But yeah, so this is the breakdown here. So it's kind of interesting. So I said it's kind of like, we don't get a lot of this kind of dips and lows and whatever, but yeah, in reality here too, let me go up. So looking at this, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So I mean, this could be 12 as well, kind of. I mean, I don't know, you could put 12 or maybe 13, depending on how you look at it. Because really, like, if you're playing a certain model that or a certain chapter that's going to use one of those name characters instead of getting every single one and just converting it into your own captain like I did, you would only have 13 model or units released technically that year instead of 18 because you wouldn't need the other ones necessarily. Yeah, so this is where we're at here though. So 15, so I didn't count like in the Dark Imperium as one, like every unit in there got counted as its own. So we had 15 new units released in 2017. There were only 7 in 2018. So 2018 was like a down year to let people kind of get settled into 8th edition, figure out these new Primaris, stuff like that. Not a whole lot released in 2018. But also just so you know, I didn't count here like the 2021. Like I didn't count these McFarlane stuff down here for that because they don't go into the game really. I guess you could count it as a Space Marine release if you wanted to. But anyway, but yeah, so yeah, the 15 for 2017, only 7 in 2018, 18 or 13 depending upon how you want to look at it for 2019. And again, a lot of those were just kind of like single models. They weren't substantial releases. Unless, like I said, we had a bunch of box sets and stuff too. Which actually 2019, I don't know if we did. 2020 though, and another big year of 18. And so far this year, it's only been 3. The Heavy Intercessors, the, what's his name? Captain Venturous or Lieutenant Venturous or Uriel something, the Black Library guy. Yeah, him, and then the Gravis Captain from Pride Nexus. Those are the only 3 new Space Marine models so far in 2021. Although it just feels like Indomitus just happened. I mean, it was all the way back in August. It's kind of hard to believe it's already been that long. But yeah, so that is where that kind of flushed out. So very interesting. So yeah, so what helps you? I think it's, at least for me, I'm a visual person, so having something like that really helps me kind of plan out better, I guess. Being able to see something and kind of like take something from one column and put it in the completed column, I think that really helps me a lot. So, you know, it's very, I think it's going to help a lot. And this, like I said, I've got more time than ever right now. More than, well, I say that knock on wood, as of right now I have enough time to hopefully definitely get caught up on a lot of things. I didn't, you know, most of what I brought, and the reason why I was able to, like, why that number of what I brought is so high is because it's all like infantry stuff, which is kind of one of the, at least for me, it's kind of, it's kind of a funny thing to say, but it's like I kind of find infantry and vehicles I find a pain to paint in different ways. Infantry, because there's just so many of them, it can just seem so daunting. And then vehicles for the opposite reason of, like, it's only one of them, but usually it's a larger thing. And so it's just like there's just one thing takes up so much time because there's like so many little details here and there to work on. So I do find them kind of both in their own rights kind of daunting in a way. But I think having this list and everything and having the time as of right now should really hopefully help me to get a lot of this knocked out. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on everything. What do you do? Do you think something like this is helpful? Do you like having your models set out to where you can see them and be like, okay, this chunk is done? Or do you like to put them away and not have to look at the big pile of shame? You know, everybody's different, and so I think, you know, there's no wrong or right answer. It's what works for you. But I just thought I would share something that I've happened upon, and kind of out of necessity of kind of doing this mobile paint operation that I have to do right now. This is the best option I have right now. So, all right. Well, with that long, like I said, attempted at a coherent thought of rambling in this hotel room that I am currently in, hopefully you found some benefit out of that, or at least you can see some of the thought process and inner workings of what I'm trying to do or try to accomplish in this coming year, and hopefully it all turns out well, and hopefully your projects also turn out well for you. So I invite you to check out the rest of the YouTube channel, and you can check out the Facebook page as well. I put a lot of updates and projects there, and as well as Instagram. Both of those pretty much just stay strictly on the 40K topic. Here on the channel I have a new playlist that I've been doing every now and again, which is going to be probably kind of a little bit different coming up. It's called Off the Sprue, which is pretty much off the topic of 40K and the tabletop hobby in general, and kind of delve into other aspects. So lately it's been a lot on different Lego sets and stuff, and getting back into different Lego collecting and building that I've been doing with my kids. But being away for a little bit right now, I'm not gonna get Legos and then try to I guess I could get them and then mail them home ahead of me or something, but that just seems like too big of a headache to even deal with. So it'll probably change into other subjects, things that I've been wanting to talk on anyway on there that I've actually had made videos in the past and it just never did anything with them and uploaded them to it, like movie reviews, thoughts and stuff like that. You know, a lot of them that I did are so old now, nobody really probably cares on my attempted thoughts there, but you know, I could do like, you know, what are my thoughts on the new Kong versus Godzilla thing, stuff like that. We'll see. That'll probably be something that will I'll be looking at too. But main thing right now is I'm just trying to tackle the paint, trying to get the gray tide to be pushed back a little bit more. So again, thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate that like. Hit the subscribe. If you have any ideas for other videos or ways to try to make myself make everything better, let me know. I am very much operating at a limited capacity, so there's only so much I can do, but if you have any suggestions, I'll definitely take them and see what I can and can't do and go from there. So, all right, all that being said, again, thank you for watching, and until next time.